Hi everyone. Today we are briefly going to discuss revealed preference. What is revealed preference? Where does the discussion come from? And where does it apply? One of the most pertinent questions in microeconomic theory is how individuals make decisions. It is this need to model individual behavior that leads us to studying the theory of individual decision making. When studying individual choice behavior, there are two approaches that are followed. One is the preference based approach, and the other is the choice based approach. When studying individual choice behavior using the preference based approach, first we impose some rationality assumptions on the decision maker's preferences. We look at individual preferences and then analyze these preferences and their consequences on individual choice behavior. So, for example, you must have come across the preference relation, um, at least as good as when studying preference relations uh, using the preference based approach, we might have a set of alternatives and we might say that x is at least as good as y, or y is at least as good as x, or both. And so given a set of and then we predict what the individual would choose if faced with these choices. In the choice based approach, on the other hand, we observe the choices that an individual makes and make assumptions about individual preferences. The choice based approach is what we will explore further. Now, what are these choices? Where are these choices coming from? So, these choices or these alternatives could be something like maybe you are expected to choose four subjects out of the list of 10 subjects for your coming semester, or maybe an individual consumer looking at a grocery list and can buy only 10 items out of the 50 items that are on their list, or maybe a seller who wants to sell, let's say, 5 items or 20 items out of the list of n number of items that they can keep on their counter. So, as we've already said, that while studying individual choice behavior using the choice based approach, we will observe the choices that an individual makes over these set of alternatives, which we will call capital X, and then deduce what the individual's preferences are. To study individual behavior, choice behavior through the choice based approach, we have something called the choice structure, which is made up of two elements: curly B, which is a which is a family of budget sets, and C, which is a choice rule. So let's look at each of these elements. So curly B is a family of non-empty subsets of X. So remember we said there is a set capital X which might include alternatives X, Y, Z, A, B, etc. etc. So any of these alternatives. From these n number of alternatives, there are certain budget sets that come out, and curly B is a collection of all of these sets. So each element in curly B is a budget set capital B, which is a subset of L of the capital X. Therefore, each capital B in curly B is a set of feasible alternatives that an individual can choose from. So, for example, if you think of a budget set, it would include items that are affordable to a consumer. So, that is exactly what we are saying, that each capital B in curly B is a set of feasible alternatives that an individual can choose from. So, like we said, suppose capital X has 26 elements from A to Z, then curly B, since it is a family of budget sets, could have B1 equal to ABC, B2 equal to ABCDEF, and so on and so forth. So then we would say that curly B is a collection or a set or a family of budget sets B1 to B4. The second element of the choice structure that we said is the choice rule. Now, the choice rule essentially is a correspondence that assigns elements from the budget set to the choice set of B. And this choice set of B we will call C of B. So, if we are saying that some element X belongs to the choice set of B, what we're essentially saying is that if an individual decision maker is repeatedly faced with choices between X and Y from capital X, they choose X. So again, if curly B is a family of budget sets XY, XYZ, XYZ, etc., etc., and each of these elements is a budget set, then if we say that X is in the choice set of B, we are essentially saying something like this. So a choice rule C1 assigns elements of the budget set to the choice set of B. So what we are saying essentially here is when an individual is faced between a choice between X and Y, the individual chooses X. Now C of B could be singleton or could have many elements. So out of X, Y and Z, the individual could choose only X, the individual could choose only Y, only Z, X and Y, Y and Z, or all three X, Y and Z. So if we look at two alternative choice structures, so what will a choice structure have? The choice structure will have a family of budget sets, that is curly B, and a choice rule. So let's say the choice rule here is C2, wherein when faced with choices X and Y, the individual chooses X. When faced with choices between X, Y and Z, the individual chooses X and Y. So here what we see is that X is chosen whenever the decision maker faces budget X and Y, but when the budget set expands to X, Y and Z, the individual chooses X and Y. So while studying choice rules and choice structure, there are certain assumptions, certain kind of rationality assumptions that we might want to impose. And this is where the weak axiom of revealed preference comes into picture. What the weak axiom of revealed preference essentially says is that an individual's choices or observed choices will display some amount of consistency. What we're saying is that, so for example, when an individual is faced with choosing between X and Y and the individual chooses X, then if the individual has another budget set which includes X, Y and Z, it would be odd if the individual chooses Y and does not choose X. So what we're saying is if at one instance between X and Y an individual chooses X, in a second instance when faced with a choice between X, Y, Z and maybe other alternatives, if the individual is choosing Y, the individual must also choose X, because in an earlier instance the individual had chosen X over Y when Y was available. So formally stating the weak axiom, what are we saying? We're saying that if for some budget set B in curly B with X and Y both belonging to the budget set B, we have X in the choice set of B, then for any other budget set B prime in curly B with XY belonging to B prime and Y belonging to the choice set of B, we must also have X in the choice set of B prime. So again, what we are saying is that individuals' choice behavior will display some consistency. So we're saying that if there's curly B and it includes B and B prime both. And if X and Y are elements of B, an individual chooses X, then if X and Y are elements of B prime also and the individual chooses Y, then the individual must also be choosing X. Um, so again stating, we're just saying that if the individual has a choice between X and Y and the individual chooses X, then we cannot have a situation where faced with the choice between X and Y and any other element, the individual only chooses Y and does not choose X. This is what brings us to defining our revealed preference relation, which is what we set out to understand. So the revealed preference relation, or the here this is the revealed at least as good as relation. So earlier in the preference based approach, we saw something like this, and this was at least as good as. This symbol here is the revealed at least as good as relation. So, defining the revealed at least as good as relation, we are saying that given a choice structure curly B and a choice rule C, the revealed as good as relationship is defined as X is revealed as good as Y is equivalent to saying that there is some B in curly B such that for X and Y in the budget set B and X belonging to the choice set of B. That is what we are saying, that if X is at least as good as Y, it means that X and Y, which belong to a budget set B, X is belongs to the choice set of B. The other way around, it also means that for some budget set B in curly B, if X and Y are elements of B, then and X is chosen or X belongs to the choice set of B, it implies that X is revealed at least as good as Y. The revealed at least as good as, or the revealed preference relation, or when we're saying that when faced with X and Y and the consumer or the individual chooses X, we can also informally state that X belongs to the choice set of B, but Y does not belong to the choice set of B. And informally, we can say that X is revealed preferred to Y. Um, Now, the at least as good as relation need not be complete or need not be transitive. So we're not saying that preferences can't cycle. So we're not saying that we uh, can't have a situation where the revealed at least as good as relation does not cycle. So in particular, for any X and Y to be comparable, it is necessary that for some budget set B in curly B, we have at least as X in the choice set of B, Y in the choice set of B, or both X and Y in the choice set of B. So loosely stating, or again stating the axiom, what we're saying is that if X is revealed at least as good as Y, then Y cannot be revealed preferred to X. So what we're saying is that if this is true, then we cannot have this to be true. So this cannot be true. That is, if X is chosen when X and Y are both available, it cannot be the case that Y is chosen when X is available. So just to reiterate these two things, let's go over a couple of examples. So consider a budget set B which includes X, Y and Z. Consider X, capital X, which has three elements X, Y and Z, and two budget sets, so B1 and B2. B1 includes X and Y, B2 includes X, Y, and Z. Uh, and let choice rule C1 be such that when faced with the choices between X and Y, the individual chooses X. When faced with the choice between X, Y, and Z, the individual again chooses X. So, based on choice rule 1, the individual has X revealed at least as good as Y. Also, X is revealed as good as Z. But we do not have any revealed preference relation ship between Y and Z, and therefore we can say that the first choice rule satisfies the weak axiom of revealed preference, because when faced with the choice between X and Y, the individual chooses X, and again when faced with the choice between X, Y, and Z, the individual again chooses X. So there is a certain sort of consistency in the choice structure or the individual's choice behavior. On the other hand, if we have another choice rule where between X and Y an individual chooses X, and between X, Y, and Z the individual chooses X and Y both. So what do we get from here? From here, what we get is X is revealed as good as Y, and Y is not revealed preferred to X, which is what we saw earlier as well. So when X is being chosen, when X and Y both are available, we are in a way saying that X is revealed as good as Y and Y is not revealed preferred to X. At the same time, what does this mean? When faced with a choice between X, Y, and Z, individual choosing X and Y both means X is revealed as good as Y and Y is revealed as good as X. Also, Y is revealed as good as Z and X is revealed as good as Z. So, based on this choice structure, we have Y is not revealed preferred to X and Y is revealed as good as Y. So y is revealed at least as good as X. So we can't have both of these together. And therefore, we say that this choice structure does not satisfy the weak axiom of revealed preference. Um, so if X and Y are feasible and X is chosen, then it cannot be the case that both X and Y are feasible and Y is chosen, but X is not. So this completes our brief discussion about revealed preference and the weak axiom of revealed preference.